Scout literally assesses candidates in seconds, 2.2 seconds, or 160 times faster than a human. And then Scout also does the interview as well. And Scout is trained in multiple LLMs and actually knows 32 plus languages.
What if artificial intelligence could land you your next dream job across borders in seconds? And what if just as swiftly it could find your next ideal employee anywhere in the world? What does the AI revolution mean for where and how people live and work? Could it become a powerful new catalyst for human movement? And where do policies stand in the way of this transformation? My guest today is Casey Marquette, a pioneering entrepreneur at the crossroads of technology, recruitment, and international mobility. He is the founder and CEO of Covenant Technologies and Covenant HR, and the creator of Scout, a cutting-edge AI-powered hiring platform that's already helping companies build global teams. From sourcing talent across continents in just days to navigating visa challenges and relocation, Casey is reshaping not only how companies hire, but where people can go. In this episode, we'll explore how artificial intelligence is rewriting the rules of recruitment and job search, and what that means for the future of work and migration. So, Casey, thank you very much for taking part in this series.
Emmanuel, thanks a million for having me. Great to be here.
All right. So, would you like to explain to us a little bit the background of this new business? How did you get started? What was your initial idea? How did you launch this project?
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. So my background is I was actually a chief information security officer for very large corporations, building and running cybersecurity programs. And then after that, I took a leap, Emmanuel, and became COO of a consulting firm in which a large portion of the revenue was staffing. And frankly, I thought when I reflected back on my time as a chief information security officer, I knew I wasn't happy with the staffing industry. And then after working in that industry, I thought we could do this better. So I launched Covenant Technologies. Now, Covenant HR is the parent company of Covenant Technologies. But even after I launched that, Emmanuel, we started doing things the way I would have wanted them to be done when I was hiring literally hundreds of people in corporate America. There were still some gaps. And I'll tell you what those gaps are. Like, for example, statistically, when people apply for jobs, 85% of the people are never even looked at. So they're not even reviewed. 90% of people are ghosted. They don't hear back. Or if you do hear back, you hear the generic, thanks for applying, good luck next time type of email. So for us, and frankly, for anyone internally or even staffing vendors, it's not financially viable for me to have a human go through every single resume, give everybody feedback. So we built Scout. And so Scout literally assesses candidates in seconds, 2.2 seconds, or 160 times faster than a human. And then Scout also does the interview as well. And Scout is trained in multiple LLMs and actually knows 32 plus languages on the fly. So when you're interviewing with Scout, you can start with English. You can say, I want to speak Russian. I want to interview in Russian. Scout will go straight to Russian. So by launching Scout, we are really solving the industry's biggest problems with technology.
So you were working for a consulting firm and you were in charge of hiring in that firm, correct?
No, sir. I was chief operating officer, but a large portion of the revenue in that firm was staffing. So I learned it and then frankly thought I could do this better. And then I reflected on my time as a chief information security officer. And so then I went off on my own and launched Covenant Technologies.
So what you disliked in your in the way things were working was that you had the feeling that the staffing recruitment was not optimized. That is, too many applications remained unread, possibly, and that I understand also that there was a problem that you could not give feedback to applicants, but that, it's good for the applicants, but less relevant to the firm. If the firm is sure, okay, we want this person, we don't have time to give feedback to the other. Okay, it's an inconvenience for the firm, but it's not crucial for the firm. It's bad for the applicants. So you felt bad possibly for the applicants. And
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Emmanuel, go ahead.
And so you decided, I suppose, fairly recently that, okay, if we were to put AI into this machinery, possibly we would get better result. And then you decided to launch your own business, that is, leave this consulting firm and start your business with Scout.
Well, I actually left the consulting firm to start Covenant Technologies 3 years ago.
Okay.
And when I did that, we solved a lot of the problems that I saw when I was hiring hundreds of people in corporate America, which was, staffing firms. Emmanuel would send me literally hundreds of candidates. And I thought, why am I paying this staffing firm? Because I'm evaluating a large number of candidates. So, for example, last year at Covenant, for every placement that we had at a company, they only received 3.3 candidates. So we're doing that work. But then I launched Covenant, and as we built Covenant, I realized there was still a tremendous amount of gaps in the industry that, frankly, to be financially viable, only AI could solve. So that's when I launched Scout.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Okay. And so how did it work concretely? How does the company work concretely? That is, you develop this platform where companies can post their jobs, and also employees go to this platform. Job seekers go to this platform. How does it work concretely?
So we have two offers. One is the traditional staffing model where we use Scout. But if you were a company and you needed help finding talent, you would come to us. We would find you that talent, but we would use Scout. But we are also providing Scout to companies, actually multi-billion-dollar companies and staffing companies, to help speed up it. Using Scout, you can only get two of these three usually. So Scout allows you to operate faster, better quality candidates at a cheaper cost. And literally with Scout, you get that. So it is literally a no-brainer. Let me give you a couple examples on quality. I think the speed's obvious. Scout works 160 times faster than a human recruiter. But from the quality side, Emmanuel, imagine like when we post a job, we typically receive between 300 and 500 applicants. Before Scout, you would have a human that may look at 40 of those 500. What we found since we started using Scout was the other big, large bucket of candidates outside of those 40 usually has the best talent in it, but they're never looked at.
Okay.
So that's one thing. So Scout evaluates everyone that applies, which allows you to find better talent. A human can't do that. They can't look through they won't look through 500 resumes. Plus, they get tired once they get to reviewing the 50th resume. And so that's one. The other big issue it solves is Scout is more technically adept than any recruiter in the world. What I mean by that is where we would fail before Scout and where internal recruiting fails, you have recruiters that are literally recruiting for sales, warehouse, IT, cybersecurity. They can't possibly understand all of those domains technically. So Scout understands all of those domains and can pressure test the candidate technically, which also results in better quality candidates for the clients.
Mm-hmm. I see. I mean, yeah, for me now, I mean, it looks straightforward, the way it works. That is, you have an AI agent that is going to review all the applications, compare them with the job ad, and establish a match.
That's correct. Let me add one thing to that, Emmanuel. We're really big in AI assisted in what we call human intelligence. So not only does Scout evaluate against the job description, but when we take a job, let's say you were the hiring manager, we would say, Emmanuel, what are the must-haves for you? What are the 3 to 5 most important things that you want this candidate to have. And then Scout, the platform, actually weights that heavier. We have found our success rate goes through the roof if we actually talk to the hiring manager and ask them what is most important to you. And then the platform weights that heavier than the overall job description.
Mhm, mhm. I see. And so this platform I am thinking in terms of the pros and cons. That is, in terms of the pros, for sure, it solves a human capacity problem. That's clear. This is what you have just emphasized. Perhaps also, and that is interesting, do you think it solves also a human bias problem?
No, so right now, well, it's funny you should ask. So we have a multi-billion-dollar company that is testing out Scout, and we are actually going through a bias audit as we speak. But what I can tell you is the platform does not know the name or the location of the candidate to reduce any chance of bias.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, because when companies typically were, as you were saying, looking at just 10 to 20% of the applicants, possibly they will look at those that were the most familiar. And that may not be the most efficient uh, way of recruiting for the company. I mean, I know friends who were looking for jobs from Europe to the United States, and uh, she was telling me, I sent 200 CVs to all. She's an architect. I sent 200 CVs to all possible companies in the US, and no, I got rejections everywhere. And she got one job once. It was not even because the company had by chance reviewed her application. It was because she was in touch with the company for something else. So all the 200 applications, a huge amount of work, were just pointless because there was nobody behind, to assess them. So perhaps it's because
Yes.
she was from
You,
Europe, and these were US employers. And so they were thinking, okay, she's not here in any case. So what the point? So I know that your company doesn't deal with policy visa issues, but for employers, it may still be relevant. If you are a US employer and you say, okay, this guy is not even in the US, why am I going to bother hiring this person, having to find a visa, struggling with the bureaucracy, and so on and so forth? Whereas with Scout, with your platform, your platform can say, okay, but this guy is a really good fit for your company. So are you sure you don't want to start this
exactly.
process? What do you think?
That's right, Emmanuel. You hit on a really important point, which is since like take LinkedIn, they have the easy apply button, right? So unfortunately, you have people that really have no business applying for a job. They just apply to any and all jobs they can find. And so what happens is those good applicants, they never get looked at. So we're wasting people's time because you have good people that are applying that deserve a look, and they're not being looked at because they are in the huge pile of other people that apply that have no business applying. They're just hitting a button to every job they can possibly apply to.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, but and so you think those serial applicants, they hide the other correct applicants, but from the employer point of view, as an employer, if you have 400 applications, you may find an easy way to select them. And my understanding of different fields is that very often, I have 400 applications. As you say, I will really go into 40. When you say that, which criterion are you going to use? And I know that in many fields, people are going to say, okay, I am just going to take the closest 40, those who are nearby, those who are close to me. Either geographically or even socially, you look at that. And I suppose that with your platform, this kind of bias may be overridden by the agent, by the AI agent. And the AI agent can tell you, okay, this guy is not in your circle, he's not in your primary circle, but he may be very relevant, or she may be very relevant to your firm. You think, though, the AI agent can a little bit break the implicit bias of recruiters?
I do 100%. I mean, the bias question comes up a lot. From what I've seen, I would argue humans are way more biased than Scout.
Yeah. So yeah, this is really what I think. And I mean, personally, I have been involved not in a field which is the field of academia. So do you think your AI agent could be also relevant to universities, research centers who are looking possibly for top talent worldwide?
Absolutely. And I will tell you, it is if you're looking now, let me just start with this. The platform, if you have a large number of applicants or you hire a lot of people, this literally is a no-brainer. So yes, for universities as well. And we've even talked about how can we develop Scout into helping candidates. So in other words, because Scout evaluates candidates, provides feedback on the resume, but also when you interview, it gives you a score. So it would be very not easy, but it wouldn't be a lot of work for us to also generate something, let's say, called Scout Prep, where candidates could submit their resume, submit a job description. How does my resume look? And then also interview a Scout, get feedback from Scout, and then when they're ready for their real interview, they could practice with Scout.
Mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's a use
I
university.
understand. It's also good for applicants because they can
Yes,
really get tailored feedback in a way that um, the traditional hiring process, as you were saying at the beginning, could not provide. So
that's
yeah,
right.
I mean, so you're just doing the business, and as I was telling you before we start the recording, I am also interested in how does this facilitate cross-border movement of people, and this is where I was trying to come with my question. That is, uh, this kind of AI agent, I understand, could help bridge, borders, because because employers will typically look at the traditional market in which they are, which is a national market, which for the US is quite big, but if you move to Europe, these are sometimes very small markets. And so this AI agent suddenly put employers in touch with applicants they would not otherwise have considered. And it can help them think, okay, there is a match indeed here. If it's an AI agent that suggests this, they will look at it. And so, and this is a very big. It's not just that it's a no-brainer for companies. It helps them do the job faster. It provides better feedback to applicants. If you match job seekers with employers in a more optimized way, it's a huge factor of economic growth as well, because companies get better fit.
That's right.
And
Emmanuel, I'm sorry, keep going. Sorry to
no,
interrupt.
go on this.
I was just going to say another big piece of that is, imagine you're a company and you don't have recruiters all over the world, which is expensive. So you want to interview an applicant, but you don't know that language.
Yeah.
Scout knows 32 plus languages. So it also allows you, if you have a candidate in another country in which you don't need a translator, that is all done through the platform.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's
So
another.
yeah. So that's really. I mean, as you say. I mean, as far as I am concerned, you have convinced me that it's something absolutely. It's very big, and it's going to change. It's going to change the world of hiring. And to go back to the practical aspect. So how does it work concretely? Do you tell so employers contract you? They go to you and they say, okay, we look for someone for that particular job. And then, based on what the AI agent has found, you give them two or three possible applicants. That's the way it works.
No. So they actually would have their own tenant. They can log into Scout, and then they would post a job. We also tie into applicant tracking systems with bi-directional writing. But I'll give you an example, like LinkedIn. We integrate with LinkedIn, Indeed,
Yeah,
ZipRecruiter.
yeah.
So basically, they have their own tenant. They post their own jobs. All of the resumes automatically come into the platform. They're graded. They can also opt to have an email whenever they want an email of new candidates that hit a certain threshold. So again, literally, our recruiters and the people using the platform, they wake up in the morning and they have an email that shows here's the top candidates that have applied in the last 24 hours. They have to spend zero time looking through the candidates that don't make any sense. The best candidates are presented right to them every morning, or they can go in live into the platform and see the best candidates.
Okay. And what about the competition for you? Are you in a blue ocean strategy, or is it now getting a crowded field? This.
No, I will tell you, and I'm very confident. I went to a staffing conference in Miami about a month and a half ago. And of course, everybody sends me competitors. From what I've seen, nobody is as far as we are, meaning we've got the languages, we've got the video interviews, you can watch the videos, you can export them. There's a lot to the platform, creates the interview questions. There is nobody that's as far as we are. Now, what I've seen is competitors that have a piece of what we have, but what we have, Emmanuel, is literally a full cycle recruiter. You could literally make a hiring decision without ever talking to an applicant using Scout.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. And do you have feedback from? I mean, I suppose you have already had companies. So, do you get feedback from them?
Oh yes, we have well amazing feedback. Nobody has canceled. So everybody continues to use the platform on the client side. And then we've gotten great feedback from candidates as well. They're skeptical, right? We're trying to increase the percentage of people that interview a scout. I think people are still
Yeah,
getting used to it. It's a
yeah.
little, but we've had the candidates that do interview a scout. The majority of the feedback is I actually enjoyed it better. I wasn't as nervous, I guess, because it's not a human, it's an avatar. But we've gotten very good feedback not only on how it makes them feel, but also how intelligent Scout is
Mhm,
in the actual interview.
mhm, mhm. I see. Well, another question is: do you specialize on top talent, or are you potentially helping hiring any kind of worker?
Any level. We actually have clients now that are using the platform to save a tremendous amount of time. So imagine some jobs, like we have a client, a merchandiser jobs, right? They high turnover. So rather than having humans look at the resumes, humans interview, because of the high turnover, they're using Scout for those jobs where they're hiring all the time to really minimize the human involvement and frankly save money, better speed, and better quality candidates.
Mhm, mhm. I mean, the human dimension is very important in any job. That is, even if you are a top scientist with a lot of credential, it's the human connection with the rest of the team is
Agreed.
important.
Agreed.
So, how does I have two questions on that, which is, I mean, two sub question in one. That is, how does AI deal with this human dimension? That is, okay, it's someone at a great CV, they can be a match for the job, but there needs to be also people needs to be aligned in terms of many things that are not just the job sometimes. I mean, not necessarily religion nowadays. Religion no longer matters so much, but sometimes, about the way you view life or things like that. It matters, in the company to create a spirit. So how does AI manage that? That's my first question. You can perhaps go on
Yeah,
with
so
on the.
uh, even we use Scout all day, every day. But Emmanuel, we still require a human recruiter to talk to the candidate. before it goes to the client. So Scout does the technical pressure test the candidate technically, which is way better than the recruiter because, again, the recruiter can't possibly understand all the different types of jobs they're recruiting for. And then the recruiter actually talks to the candidate on video before we would submit to a client. So, because I agree with you 180%, like the human element is very important. And we still include that. It's just making a lot of the upfront work a lot faster, better quality, cheaper before you get to that point. Like literally.
So you put a human in the process at some point then.
Correct.
But, okay.
Now imagine this is
yeah.
happening today, Emmanuel, and it still blows my mind. Imagine you applied for a job, Scout, literally, you hit submit, Scout scores you in 2.2 seconds. Within 30 minutes, you get a text and an email to interview for that job if you scored high enough. That is happening today.
I see.
30 minutes after you apply, you could be interviewing for the job, and it works on a mobile device as well.
I mean, given everything AI can do, I would have thought that you would have told me that, yeah, but AI also is able to match not just the CV with a job ad. The AI agent also understand how people in these companies work, feel, and the AI agent also understands how this particular applicant feels and so on. Perhaps, I don't know, you say you have access to LinkedIn profiles. Do you have access to
no, but that's a great point. So let me talk on that for a minute because I love that you brought that up. So what we do we have a job intake call, right? And as part of that job intake call, what are your company's core values? Tell me about the leader. What's their leadership philosophy? As long as we collect all that information and put it into Scout, which we do, then those type of things are also vetted out in the interview with Scout. So obviously part of Scout is only as good as what Scout knows about the job, about the company, about the leader. But yes, Scout can evaluate and take all of that into consideration.
And so you say that you are not strictly focused on top talent. You can help hire a variety of people, even for jobs that don't require important qualifications. I mean, when I was younger, we all go through jobs that are pretty basic. And yet, in order to get the job, it had to be part of my network. It had to be a job given by someone who knows me, And
Right.
so even if the job is quite basic, I understand employers value a lot a close proximity with the potential worker because they need trust. Whatever the job, even a very basic job, you need trust. And do you think that in some countries, for instance, you would hire in Romania, there is this usual joke, it's my uncle who will give me my first job, because it has to be almost a family member to give you your first job. And so, do you think this AI agent could address this question of trust? That is potentially and help even for very simple jobs, help hire people you don't necessarily know, who are not necessarily part of your extended network, because the AI agent helps solve this issue of trust.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, to me, trust is built in person.
Okay.
So, like, for me to trust you, I just met you, right? I would probably want to spend some time with you in person before I fully trust you, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously AI can't go out and have dinner with someone and spend time with them. So my answer to that is I don't believe, other than what I can say is, because of how well the platform performs in assessing candidates, the articulation of the score, the output of Scout, I am certain leaders they trust Scout, because it articulates why it's doing what it's doing. But as far as the human trust element, I don't foresee how AI could build that trust with the candidate and let's say the hiring leader.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, it depends. So I understand Scott is really limited to what both the applicants and the employers want to put into the platform. But for instance, you mentioned that you are connected with some social networks. Social networks, if who is going to review a full Facebook wall? Nobody is going to do that. But if I don't know if the AI agent has access to all the posts of someone if it's connected to the social network. But if it had, it could be a way to understand how this candidate think and help also, the employer go through that.
No, you've got, I mean, I haven't given that a thought, but I love the idea. So that is, I mean, obviously we don't have that built into the platform right now. I guess just top of my head, the only concern I would have there is typically to see my post, you have to be friends with me or somehow connected with me. So that would have to happen really before Scout. It's possible though, like what you're saying, Scout is amazing. There is zero doubt in my mind that Scout could evaluate, let's say, a feed and posts
Yeah,
of candidates.
yeah.
So I love that idea. And
No,
I'll
but
give
the
it more.
candidate would need to authorize when they apply for the
Yes.
job, Scout to screen, and it could
Yeah.
become an asset, a bonus for the candidate to demonstrate, this is how I think, this is how I interact socially. I mean, as the
Yeah.
agent, the AI agent can process it, but no employer, if they have so many applications that cannot even go through the application, are they really going to go through the feed to think how this person thinks and so on? So that's even less likely. And the AI agent potentially could do it if you tick the box, you can access my LinkedIn post, for
Yeah.
instance.
There's a couple thoughts I have on that. One is the more hurdles you put in the process, great candidates, they don't have to do that. They can get a job without having to connect to social media. So my initial concern would be people would say that's more work. And so would I lose candidates if I did that, right? By saying, hey, we want to connect to I could possibly lose candidates. The other thing is I come from a cybersecurity background. I am certain there would be a large portion of candidates that said that's my private information. There's no way I want you going through my social media feeds.
I see. All right. Okay. So in any case, so there is still this question of trust that may not possibly be addressed via the AI agent. But other than that, it's a very efficient way to connect applicants' profile with employment opportunities. And so so you help match the two in a way that is likely to be disruptive in the way traditional hiring work. So that maybe I am wrong because it may be more complex than I think, but my understanding of that is that especially the traditional hiring process will be very local. Local doesn't necessarily mean geographically. You can graduate from Stanford and you get a job in New York, but it's still local because it's a small world at the end of the day. San Francisco and New York are very, very much connected. But the AI agent will suddenly match people with what absolutely no ideas of one another. And so we used to say, okay, now with all these new information technologies, people don't need to move anymore. That is, you can work from Zoom, you can work remotely, you can develop your website in Pakistan and have clients in Europe. There is no more need to move from Pakistan to Europe, for instance. But with this new technology here, it changes the process. Suddenly you have a new technologies that makes it even more likely to move internationally than it used to be, because it breaks the limited sphere of recruitment in which most companies were so far trapped out of lack of time, lack of clear understanding. Sometimes, companies, they don't even understand what are the credentials in India. How do I know if that person is skilled? So if I am in the US and I know this person has a degree from MIT, okay, for me it's clear. But if this person has a degree in India, what does it mean? I have no idea about that. And so the AI agent may bridge that. So my understanding is that here technology really potentially help people to move much more internationally.
I agree with everything you just said. And that India example was a very good example because I know of MIT, right? In India, I don't understand the universities there. Are they good? Are they bad? So yes, AI can absolutely. And guess what? Nor can any recruiter. So it does solve that gap. Absolutely agree.
And so and then something gets nevertheless in the way, which is then there is all the process of visa policies and so on and so forth. So you are potentially matching companies with very good fit they would not have thought of, but then they have to address, how am I going to bring this person from overseas? What is going to be the bureaucracy on that? So you were suggesting earlier that unfortunately you can't help with that, correct?
Correct. The company would work through that, and not us. That's
Mhm,
correct.
mhm, mhm, mhm. But I mean, possibly the AI agent could provide just a few guidelines to help the company hire this person concretely.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I mean, imagine now we don't have that built into the platform at this point, but what I can tell you, Emmanuel, is we've got different clients that have specific needs. Let's take a nurse, right? A nurse has to have some kind of certification that she's a nurse. So we're working with different clients, and that's one of the examples is let's say Scout reviews a resume, Scout interviews, the client likes them, then Scout goes out and verifies they have all the credentials they're supposed to have, rather than a human going to a portal, looking up the name, are they certified? So there's a lot we can do with Scout, not just the base product, but we can customize Scout to go do things that frankly Scout should be doing rather than a human to just save time.
Mhm. Uh, okay, could you just elaborate on that? How Scout helps with that?
Yeah, and again, these are things we're building customized for different clients. But let's use another example, and I'm going to go back to my time in cybersecurity, right? So there's a lot of cybersecurity certifications, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you as a client using Scout, you're interested in a candidate, and then their resume, they say they have these, let's just say, three certifications. You could have Scout go out, ensure that is accurate and that they actually have that certification.
Oh, how
What's
does
that?
Scout does that?
Well, it would basically do what a human does. So, like some of the cybersecurity certifications, you go to a website, you look up the name, boom, that person is listed. But
I see. I
in
see.
real life, a human's doing that, where that is very easy
I
for
see.
Scout to do.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So yeah, it's what we're saying, that it really bridges the information gap that many employers would be facing to hire beyond a narrow circle they master. And by doing that, you open the possibility of a much better fit, more economic growth, but also you open the possibility of more international movement. But as you say, the agent may at most then provide guidelines to the company to say, okay, you need to apply for a visa for this person. You need to, these are the competent authorities to contact, and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's you have
Exactly.
a roadmap to do that. But sometimes, I remember when I got a visa to work in the US. At some point, it's a huge bureaucracy. I mean, it was I work for the University of California in Berkeley, and you have an entire department apparently that is just devoted to how are we going to help our new hires get their visa and so on. So for some companies that are not used to hiring internationally, it may be a bit challenging, even though I'm sure there are third parties that can help with that as well.
Exactly. Spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah. And so then, and perhaps we can conclude on that. That is perhaps a little bit more of a philosophical discussion. There is now these debates in the US about immigration, which is quite big, and the other to say, the good immigration is invited immigration, and the bad immigration is the uninvited immigration. And I mean, to some extent, this really clarifies the invitation process, this technology, because you are able to create an invitation for many more people than you would otherwise have been able to do. And so, in the debate, especially in the US, there is also those who say the vast majority of immigration is uninvited. But here, with these AI platforms, you can really facilitate the invitation, and even applicants don't even need to go to the country to look for a job.
Exactly.
In the past, you would have to go to the country, spend a couple of weeks there, meet a number of people, and then perhaps you would find your jobs. Here, you can find the jobs even before before leaving your house in your home country, and then you get your invitation, and it facilitates the processing of immigration, and it helps also to make it less contentious, because okay, this person was coming as a tourist, actually they were looking for a job, and so initially they come uninvited. Now it's easier to get an invitation, and as we said, even not just for top talents, even for people across the various types of jobs.
That's
Anyway,
right.
so yeah. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Casey. It was really a fascinating conversation. Perhaps two last questions for you. So, how do you see the future of hiring globally, and where can people know more about your company, follow you, and follow your updates?
Yeah, so well, let me just say the future first is absolutely Scout or something like Scout. I will just tell you, there is no way our competitors can keep up with us if they don't, because I can frankly hire, if someone gave me 500 jobs tomorrow, I could work those jobs because of Scout. Plus, it allows me to work all industries, and it if you don't use that or something similar, there's no way you're going to survive. And I would say internal talent acquisition as well. And then if you want to get a hold of us, I would just simply Google Covenant HR. We'll be at the top of the list. And then there's a contact form in there, and there's also pages on Scout. You can learn more about Scout and learn more about Covenant HR as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, everyone.